It is the most common mistake new builders make. You start with a simple automation, keep adding steps, and soon you've chained dozens of actions into a single fragile line. When one piece breaks, the whole thing shatters. But it doesn't have to be that way. By using n8n, you can design a scalable, modular automation that keeps your logic organized and prevents this kind of chaos. To do that, we need to look under the hood. We are going to expose the underlying mechanics of the n8n engine so you know exactly how it processes information. Our goal today is clear. We will construct a primary workflow that successfully passes raw data into a dedicated, reusable sub-workflow module, processes it, and pulls the results back. Mastering this architecture allows you to scale your workflows without the constant threat of a total system failure. Go ahead and open a blank n8n canvas, and let's start building. Looking at this blank canvas, it helps to know that every single n8n workflow is constructed using just 3 core component types. First are your triggers. Think of these as the starting line. They listen for a specific event, like an incoming webhook or a schedule, to kick off the entire process. Next are the action nodes. These are the doers. They step outside of n8n to interact with external applications, allowing you to fetch, create, or update data. Finally, you have your core or logic nodes. This is the brain of your operation, used to manipulate your data and route it down specific conditional paths. Knowing the nodes is only half the battle. The most important concept in n8n is how information actually moves between them, executing sequentially from left to right. All data traveling through this pipeline is structured strictly as an array of JSON objects. In n8n, these objects are referred to as items. This brings us to automatic iteration. Watch how this single logic block outputs 3 distinct data items and passes them down the line. Because of automatic iteration, the receiving block sequentially processes all 3 items one by one. You rarely need to build a manual for loop, because the engine loops through the items by default. To dynamically map specific data points from those items into your next node, you use expressions. The exact syntax looks like this: 2 opening curly braces, $JSON, a dot, and your property name, like name. This ensures the current value is evaluated precisely when the node runs. Mastering this left-to-right JSON data flow is the prerequisite for building multi-part, scalable systems. Step 1 to building our modular system is to step away from your primary canvas. Go ahead and open a second, entirely isolated workflow space. Because this new workflow is going to function as a module, we aren't going to start it with a standard event trigger like a webhook. Instead, we use an execute workflow trigger. This specialized node acts like a closed gate, sitting in standby until it is called into action by another workflow. Directly after the standby trigger, you attach your specific task logic. That could be standardizing a date format or looking up a customer ID. When the gate opens, the raw data flows through this isolated processing block. Once your logic is built, save this sequence and name it something clear, like module format data. This isolated mini-workflow is now a functioning module, a reusable function that is independent of any single larger process. Now let's return to the main workflow and put that module to work. At the point in your main sequence where you need that data formatted, drop in an execute workflow node. Pay close attention to this comparison to avoid configuration errors. On the left is the execute workflow node, the caller. On the right is the execute workflow trigger we placed inside our module earlier. Configure your caller node by selecting your saved format data subworkflow. Then click execute workflow to initiate a manual test. In this loop, the array of JSON items leaves the main workflow and is automatically passed into the module on the right. The subworkflow processes that data silently in the background. Finally, the processed output shoots back to the main workflow to continue its journey down the path. By utilizing manual executions for this connection test, you can verify the exact JSON data going in and out before you ever deploy the system live. If your data successfully routed out to the specialized system and returned back, you have built a true modular architecture. This approach provides the ultimate benefit: reusability. If an external API changes, you update your logic once in the subworkflow, and every main workflow connected to it instantly updates.
This keeps your visual workflow canvases clean and allows you to debug modules in isolation without interrupting your main production lines. Toggle your workflow to active for silent background execution. Identify which repetitive task you will convert into your next module.